Hello. We have to do some resource hunting at this point in time. So here we have to do like a high rank quest. That's what we're doing here in Monster Hunter right now. But to do it, we need this Giganox hide and some Mocholite ore, neither of which are tremendously difficult to get. I hunted one Rathlos in between, but not too much. I was thinking I would largely do a money getting episode. So I have to hunt the Giganox anyways. And then I can expand that into just using it as an opportunity to get some cash. Because I'm thinking I might unlock the hunt for the Elder Dragon that I'm going to be going against. And then, depending on how that goes, forsake making any more armor and just get Elder Dragon armor as my, like, setup to go into high rank. Because I don't actually think I've ever made the set before. And it could be a fun thing to do. Plus, I think it looks pretty sweet. So, you know. Why not? I don't think I've made armor for all of the title monsters. So like the first one would have been Rathlos was, I guess, the first title monster. The second one, I guess there was a few different title monsters for 2. Like the original for 2, I believe, was oh god, what's the wind dragon's name? The Elder Dragon is on the title of Dose. Which is always an interesting thing, I guess. And I don't know if this is just the version that was popular, or I guess I'm going to 4, not 5, so probably should go this way. I believe the PS2 version of Monster Hunter 2 was called Monster Hunter Dose. It was an interesting title, and I believe it actually has its own village, but I can't go back outside of like challenging myself to do it for some suffering reason. Because the same as the original Monster Hunter on PS2, it requires you to use the analog stick to fight, and it's just not for me. So that's a Giganox, and if you have seen these egg things around and been, concerned or curious or a combination between, now you know where they come from in unfortunate, explicit detail. The Giganox, it's an interesting monster. I think it was the higher graphics upgrade for Kezu. Because, like, there are Kezu in some of the modern games, and it's made comebacks. But I think at this point in time, because they hadn't made, like, a huge technological leap for the monster designs and the textures and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, it's better than the PS2 was. But not by as much as the difference between the original game and Monster Hunter World is. So in this situation, I think the Kezu with the original textures just looked a little too basic, and the Giganox let them fix that. It's like, oh, let's add, an underskin color that's different and some light up parts, and we'll give it poison, and it'll glow purple when it's mad. And, it retained the unique face and the squidginess, I guess is an accurate term to describe it. It's very, like, it gives the sense that the muscle and the organs of the Giganox are just barely contained by the skin and muscles of it. You know, like I've always imagined touching one of these things would be like touching a water mattress, like a really leathery water mattress, and it's just like it has more give than you're comfortable with, I guess. I don't know, I don't like touching any sort of animal. It just feels like it gives way to your touch, like you disrupted its morphology or something. Oh, I didn't realize that was homing, so that was on me. Maybe it wasn't homing and it was just like aimed. It was one of those things I could have upset if I changed my positioning, but once it was, you know, it didn't target me, it targeted where I was at the moment the attack started happening. That's what I imagine. I don't know. We'll see. So much poison. Cool. All right. Oh, wow. My weapon was not sharp enough to attack from behind. I guess there is a visual representation of the hardness there by, like, the opacity of the color. Oh, nice. Health recovery. Thanks, Kiamba. I guess, you know, these are fine allies, and they'll be fun for the duration of this series, but it's tough to beat cats. They're cute, you know, you get to pick some more options for them typically. The masks are fine, and it's nice that Cha-Cha and Kiamba are kind of independently capable enough where you don't have to be constantly making them brand new gear alongside you. But if you look at the system from Third Portable, it's never actually an inconvenience so long as you yourself are making things. And it's Monster Hunter, so you pretty much always will be. Yeah, I like the scraps system. Just using the trimmings of your armor to make stuff for your cat. Because I think people do that in real life for their animals, right? They're like, oh, I was making this, and I have half a yard left. Let's, well, yard, I don't know, man. I don't know measurements very well. Is a yard a reasonable amount of fabric? Maybe that's way too much. Probably like a few cat clothes. Cool. Oh. Come on, Giganox. Come down off the ceiling. It is time that we hang out. Share our concepts. Oh, I didn't mean that. Ah, my bad. Oh well. Always pressing the right button is overrated, honestly. It's not important. Actually, you know, in a weird way, that's one of the reasons that I don't like playing content in MMOs like at the highest level, especially when it's really recent. I'm not interested in the meta. I don't like having to do something a very, very specific way, because I feel like the part of a video game that's fun is that it is inherently an interactive medium, right? It's not like a movie or TV show. You're just watching what happens play out. And I feel like, you know, if you're abiding a meta, especially a very, very strict one, say like how to run a boss in a game, and every single person has to be doing the exact certain thing at a very specific time, and they have to be here when this happens and here when this happens. It's fine when something is challenging, it requires that, and you kind of get to like improvise how you recover from it. But I don't find it fun when you have to do that or everyone instantly dies and that's just the end of it. Stop having fun. Now I recognize that some people like really punishing content like that. And if you look at like in the context of Final Fantasy 14, which I play a lot of, that would be like savage raiding or something, right? And not old savage raids, but most recent stuff as soon as it comes out, and trying to typically it seems like, because I haven't really tried to do this myself, but the strategies I've seen employed usually have like very strict abbreviations, and there's always positional logic. And it does seem like the people who like that type of thing take it so seriously that they get frustrated when the strategy isn't being abided. And that's fine. Like if you're looking for a group to do that and that doesn't happen, like that's frustrating, right? Because it's just you want to do a very specific thing. But for me, I really do like when you can play around or arrive at victory in different ways, employ the same strategy in different places and have different outcomes. It's fun for me to have that. So I kind of prefer content that is slightly less punishing, just because it gives you different ways to kind of author that victory. It's actually, even in the context of Final Fantasy, it's why I like when a raid goes wrong. Because typically, you know, if you're doing something that's really, really punishing or very, very specific, you just fail outright and then you just restart, and that's fine. But if you're doing something that's maybe not as instantly punishing, you can have this failing gracefully moment, or preventing the failure with like some last minute save or revive for everyone or whatever it is. Sometimes you can have like very unoptimal situations save the day. So like there are some classes in that game that aren't healers, but have some healing abilities, one of which allows you to raise people who have died and bring them back in the middle of content instead of having to restart, or have everyone die and respawn. So that ability on a non-healer can mean like, oh no, everything's gone wrong, all of your healers are dead. That person can potentially bring back a healer. They can start healing at full speed, and then you're in this situation where you went from, we have one measly attacker with a few bonus spells, to our whole squad has now arrived and we're here to win. Those moments where you get to really come back from the edge of a cliff, way more satisfying to me than doing what is effectively Simon Says for a video game. I think it's probably why I'm so bad as well at abiding stuff like that. Like I've even played games with folks and I've been given offers like, hey, do you want to come into the chat where we all are and we can like discuss things? And like I'm sorry, I appreciate it, but I'm just so bad at sitting there and being told what to do, especially with something that like I want to have fun with on my own terms. It's okay if like I'm at work and my boss tells me how to do something, because you know that's the position we're in, it's the roles we're in. That's okay. But if I'm like trying to have fun, just trying to play a video game, relax my time, you know, get out of reality a little bit, I don't want somebody over my shoulder being like, you're doing it wrong. It's just not fun for me, and I would sooner avoid the experience than try and work through it. That's probably the sign of adulthood, really, or maybe maturity, not specifically adulthood. But instead of like forcing yourself to do things that maybe you wanna try and fix everything that displeases you, and maturity is just going like, I'm just gonna let them have it over there and just not get involved. Sometimes that's required more often than not. Like I'm jealous of people who meet folks or have a family that's like really all on the same page, and you kind of have that same page, or you're all reading through the same book or on the same chapter at the same time throughout your life. I feel like I've had occasional intersections across different chapters, then largely like some people stay on the same book and then I move on to different ones, or we both changed books, or some of us liked the book and some of us didn't. That feels like a more of my relationships. So when folks are able to keep it up and stay aligned, to continue to be able to work together like that and want to work together, that's pretty awesome. Never inherently been something I've got too much of, but that's okay, because I'm at a point where it's just like I've learned the lesson of some things didn't mesh, and that's okay, and it's not an insult to me, it's not an insult to the people, it's just how things play out sometimes. When you're younger and insecure, that can hurt. But sometimes we're the ones who are making that hurt, right? Like, as awful as it is, I've tried to, in the past, like, be friends with people that I shouldn't be friends with, and it didn't work out for me. And while it sucks, it's not, I wouldn't really blame those people, you know? It's just, I had to have a lesson somewhere, and they happened to be the teachers of it. But it's not like them not getting along with me is their fault. We just have different preferences. Ah, well. Try and sneak in a mine here. A little aggressive, but that's okay. I think you can Mocolite here. Oh, nice. I didn't even realize we were that close to winning. Huh, cool. Can't complain about that. I think I got what I need. If I can get like a single piece of Mocolite in this final moment, I would be so set up for success. But I really doubt I'm going to be able to do that. So let's see. Nope, Bloodstone, Sunspire Jewel, Iron Pickaxe is broken. That's not helpful information. Oh god. Nope, got some Bloodstones. I don't think those are tremendously useful. They probably just get turned in. All right. Well, I think the hide is all I needed, so I have at least 2 of those. Cool. Save. And then let's see. Oh, wait, no, I need, well, I'll check anyways. Confirm I have enough of the, hide. Okay, I needed 2, I got 2, we're set. Now just Mockolites. Probably the easiest way to get that is just to go on a volcano tour. Yeah. I wish I could just buy a Firecaster. I probably won't be able to, but it would be fantastic. Oh. Definitely one of the things I'm missing about Third Portable right now is the quality of merchants you had in the village. Lots of good access. A lot of good supplies. Granted, I know it didn't all appear at once, but we are 5-star now at this point. Low rank, but still. Yeah, I'll hope I can get Mocolite here. I think it's higher up on the spawn list. I know Dragonite, coal, iron ore is unfortunately here, even though it's not really what you want in a circumstance like this. Oh, right. It's very hot. Okay, first mining point. We'll see what we get. Ugh. Oh my god, I don't want Sunspire Jewels. Give me some Mocholite. Dragonade is fine too, but I'm sure I'm gonna use it for something. Mystery Charm. Come on, game. Earth Crystal. Mocholite. Hey, there we go. We just need the one, so everything from here is easy. But no harm taking what we can get. You know, it's funny. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll just do a money gathering episode and just clean up some quests. But now I'm thinking, if the Elder Dragon thing is next, and I have that Giganox took no time to go down, maybe that's what I should do. Just see where I'm at, if it's viable right now, if I need better armor before even attempting it. I don't know where it's gonna be. I do not want a Power Stone. That was my bad. Okay, some more Mocholite. Again, not great, but we're gonna go down to 0 after this, so if we do need any more, it'll be good to have. Awesome, and now leave. This is kind of why I wanted a Farcaster. Is like if I got anything, I knew I was gonna be at the farthest end of the map anyways. So it's a pain to come back. Oh well. That's the convenience of modern video games. 30 seconds of walking around. Ugh, the suffering. How do I even survive such hardship? It feels like it used to be worse. Like, I know it wasn't. The game is the same. And this game is very similar to 1 and 2 and all of the games in between there for Monster Hunter. But it feels easier. Maybe I'm just like, I've traveled so much. It's like, you know, you've been on a road so many times. It doesn't feel like it's as long, even if it is. Just because you're used to the sights that you're seeing. But even really, really hard drop rates, it's just like, my brain is so casual about like, oh, I guess I just gotta go kill it 70 times. Like, once you've done it before, it doesn't feel like an epic quest anymore. It just kind of feels like going to a grocery store. It happens to be extra far away, and there's like 7 drawbridges that may or may not be down today. And sometimes you gotta camp by the drawbridge and get right in your car and go right away. I don't know. This is a fictional situation, but horrible infrastructure too. All right, awesome. Now, speed setup is actually cool. I think it's still exclusive to ranged weapons because it's like how you deploy your ranged weapon. I think is what that one is. Oh well. All right, broski. I have all of this stuff for this camp that we want to build. Oh, I don't have the resources. Okay, interesting phenomenon. I forgot that that was gonna be a thing, so I guess, okay, no, maybe it will be a money getting episode, but not in the sense that I thought. It's gonna be a go to the place and kind of just wholesale fight everything. A little bit dangerous for everything, not really for me. Oh well, that's fine. We'll put away all of this stuff that we don't need to be bringing with us. Cool. Yeah, so I guess I'll just hunt everything in the Moga Woods. Well, okay, I don't think there's value in hunting the Kelby. But it could be we get some worthwhile stuff from this mining point. I don't know. No, it's mostly predators that are worth hunting. Yeah, there's a fair number of things that I can turn in, which is probably going to be the path to take. Oh, I figured there'd be like raptors or something in here. Nothing. Are the Bonobos worth 6? That's funny. Oh, nice. No, they're worth 3? Ugh. Okay. Now I think actually hunting big monsters out here, that's see a couple hundred. So once we find something worth hunting, I imagine we'll be in a fine enough place. Get low on paintballs. Oh, okay, Quirpeco. Not what I was thinking was going to be in our way, but let's put it down. This guy really doesn't hit hard though, so oh, there's a Royal Ludroth alongside the Quirpeco, so I guess we're doing a double hunt. That's fine. Let's just bloop. I think this is one of the few circumstances where a double hunt doesn't modify the HP of the monsters that we're hunting. Typically in a double hunt in Monster Hunter, to kind of like even the odds, the monster's health is invisibly modified so as to be less painful to fight both at the same time. But in a situation like this, where they're kind of like randomly occurring in this wilderness area, I wouldn't imagine that their health is considerate of the other monster being here. Unless it's maybe like a how many slots are fatal at potential places a monster can spawn. Of the slots that are fatal, you know, provide this much handicap. Like you could mechanically implement something like that, but I have no idea if it's the case. When it comes to the Moga Wilds for 3U, maybe. Granted, none of these things, even with full health, are taking a tremendous amount of time. Nice. Yeah, having green sharpness to fight this thing is a big improvement. I don't think when we had to fight it in the quest lines naturally that we got so lucky. Yeah, set me on fire as I roll into water. Very effective strategy, Quirpeco. Although it is so nice that even a game of the age this one is, it has little details like that. Because, you know, it wasn't always the case where people qualified those differences. Now you have like up to Baldur's Gate 3, which even has an ability that's literally just called dip. So you can put your weapon into the surface below you, whether that's water, lava, blood, acid, whatever. Very, very cool functionality. But there's definitely a time in video games where, like, there's water here? Okay, well, the floor is blue, and that is it. Imagine the water does stuff. There are definitely standouts to that. Like, I feel like even back in the N64 days, Ocarina of Time handled water really, really well. I imagine largely because it did involve swimming and going underwater, and those things not being a dumpster fire was important to the game being fun, but still, it can be commended for how well it did that. Like, even to this day, I guess this shows the vintage nature of my video game love, but I'm still impressed when you play a video game and your character walks through water and it makes like a little splashy sound. Nowadays, it's probably just like the first week of learning to make video games, like stuff you have to do, ambient sounds. But it's so impressive to me. It's such a immersive little detail. And now things are going, you know, so far and beyond just that. Like you're, you know, ambiently getting wet and then drying off based on the conditions that your character is exposed to. And details that I imagine, like, everyone is aware of them if they're playing the game, but they might not be uniquely picking it out. It's just like part of the package that's being presented. It's very cool though. It would be interesting to see, you know, like a ray tracing demo or something. And it's kind of a funny thing, but you could make watching paint dry interesting if you made a tech demo where you have like a lattice in front of a window and the sun is coming through the window and there's a freshly painted wall where the camera is pointed, and you can, through the use of ray tracing, see the differences in how the paint is drying, if it has sun on it or not. You know, I'm not saying this is like something you would spend 10-12 hours playing and like getting a lot out of. It would be an interesting 10-minute tech demo to be like, oh yeah, look, it does look like it's drying quicker. But I still think that'd be fascinating from a just watching it be done perspective. And, you know, there's other ways you could do it too. I mean, it would be interesting to have a game maybe where you're like a police officer or something, right? And you have to investigate different scenes, and how different pieces of evidence have aged could be a cool thing. And again, little detail like the color of blood, for example, you know, if it's aged or coagulated or smeared or dried or not dried or whatever it indicates. It could be interesting and just add to a package, but I don't think anyone would ever be like, that game was a masterpiece because when I got to a crime scene, the blood was a different color and I could tell how long the body had been there. Like, I don't imagine that would be the standout reason, like on the back of the box to play the game, like different colored blood. That's weird. But as part of a package, very impressive, very fun. I think that's something that's tough for some people. Like, I work in the software world, and as a result, I'm around a lot of different engineers for different teams, and sometimes like people have a really good perspective on the general understanding of their work. So they'll be like, you know, this is really interesting, but only for people in my very specific subset of interests and education. For everybody else, this sounds like jargon. And sometimes you'll get people who are like very upfront about that and understand it and don't expect everyone to blow their mind. But then you have folks who like are very insular in what they're doing, what they're experiencing. They're very focused maybe in like the engineering world they're in. So they'll go up to a bunch of, you know, air quotes, normal people, and they'll be like, the serialization of this thing has been cut down by 50%. And everyone will be like, yes, great. But they can't appreciate it properly. I don't even remember why I brought that up. This monster jumped out of nowhere. So now I'm fighting it. Oh well. Oh yeah, I was just talking about random things and how they can be important parts of building a whole picture, but independently they don't stand out. So yeah, it is tough when you're around people like that, because you don't want to like break their hearts by being like, no one cares about this minuscule thing on its own. And sometimes like they could care, but they just don't know why they should. And the skill set that can build the thing that is interesting is oftentimes not the skill set that can describe why the thing is interesting. So it can be disappointing and even disheartening to like create something cool, but then not be able to bring to anyone the explanation for why it is cool. And again, I imagine blood changing color randomly in a video game or based on environments very neat, but if you were at a family dinner and you're like, I'm really proud of this thing, you might just get some weird stares, depending on the family. You know, maybe they'd be really into that. But I'm definitely the type of person that little details can like make or break something for me. Even in the case of like a third-person shooter. If I'm playing a third-person shooter and there isn't a button to swap my shoulder, it's almost unplayable. And I know some people don't even care. You know, it's not a consideration. But I just find it weird when you're approaching a corner and, you know, in the real world, you'd be able to like poke out or look from a very specific angle. But in a game, say if you're always over the left shoulder or something, and you come up to some corners, you can't, you'd be looking at the wall compared to looking at around the corner based on where your eye would be. So it's just a small detail, but it's really tough to play a game that doesn't give you that option, especially if it expects you to like snappy, go around the corner and immediately be beset by threats. Like the new Resident Evil 4. If you couldn't swap shoulders in that game and like have a good degree of customization and how you're moving and aiming and doing all that stuff, the game would be way too challenging. But as is, it's one of the best third-person shooters that's out there. It's crazy to think that the same people who make Resident Evil make Monster Hunter. I mean, obviously, I think they're different teams internally. There may well be some crossover. But even then, though, they're under the same roof. How lucky would you have to be? It's like being one of those families where like one of your kids is a doctor and the other one's an engineer. And it's like, oh, geez, like, there's no bad place to look. Although they are somewhat, they're kind of at odds with each other. Like, I don't think anyone would inherently look at those two games out of context and be like, oh yeah, same company, clearly. But even now, I guess, technically the modern Monster Hunter games, at least, I know Rises, I'd have to look at what world was built on. But I believe Rise was built on the Resident Evil engine, which is actually an engine that consists mostly of black magic that has been very strictly applied to the usage of computer engineering and has made a system and engine that works so well on hardware across the range that's just like, you wonder how they did it. Like, I really think they should license the RE engine because it beats the pants off of things like, oh god, what was it? Ice Cube or Ice something, what they used to make the Battlefield games. And Unreal is really cool, but from an optimization standpoint, I think it's undeniable that RE Engine gives a higher quality image and output and everything like that, and it seems to do it with less resources. And then when you do give it really, really high resources, it just goes hog wild. Like, it's an insane proposition. But as far as I'm aware, it's an internal only engine. They are not externally licensing it. You can't pay a fee and get it. It's just a tool they built for their teams. And I mean, if you want to keep the feel of your games and some of your your company's secrets exclusive, I understand that. Not everybody wants to be in the product, the software production world, because that's what you would be. You wouldn't, like, video games are software, and they have similarities to like an enterprise piece of software, but it's a completely different world if you have to manage regular customer service and discussions of integrations and dealing with like full companies that have their own policies and maybe asking for packages for more support. And nobody is like, oh, my video game playing is enterprise level. I'm going to pay you $50,000 a year so your support team always responds to me right away. But if you're releasing for sale software, which is, an engine would be, you might have that situation. It's just a different business. So I get it. It's not fun. But if RE Engine ever came out, or if they made like a RE Engine 2 and 1 was released, I would absolutely like play around with it. It just seems like such a impressive technical feat. And while we gush about Capcom, 2 monsters down, Royal Ludroth, Korapeko. I have no stamina, and I have no rations. So it is going to be a slow and very pleasant walk back. Well, that's okay. I feel like we got a decent amount of points. I don't think we got everything, but definitely enough where coming back, it would be okay. Honestly, it would probably be worthwhile to do a fair amount of the resources, even if it just means improving my menu items and getting better stuff. I've been doing the health meals just because that's largely what I feel like is worth it the most. If I need more attack or something, I'll get it from my armor. But getting health from the food is nice, and especially considering you can get it from that other place, you don't really have to dedicate space on your armor to improving that. You have to remember to do it, but that's true for a lot of things that we do every day, and at a certain point you just have to accept that some parts of living are cumbersome. Like I don't really like breathing, like the mechanics of it. It's relaxing sometimes, but I feel like I would like it more if it was like, poutine. Like you can't eat it every day, you shouldn't eat every day, but when you do get it, you're like, oh yeah, this is the best, I love this. If breathing was like that, it would be awesome. You're like, oh, I haven't taken a deep breath all day. Ooh, my lungs are feeling awesome today. Having to do it all the time and, dying if I don't, that's just constant horror from, a certain perspective. Now I feel like I should have gotten more resources out of that interaction, so that I only have like 63. I'm now a little confused. Oh, right, I had the hunt report. Right. Cool. Okay, now we're in a better place. Oh wow. Okay, we actually got a lot of cool stuff there, so that's pretty awesome. Okay, so I will... Oh, wait, do I only need 1,500? Yeah, I actually did get everything I needed. Wow, that's awesome. Definitely not what I expected. Yeah, deliver the items. We should be able to build a base camp that'll stand up to any natural disaster with this stuff. Last thing I want is for some monster to tear this place down again. You do your job, Hunter, and I'll do mine. I haven't felt this fired up about working forever. I just pray the sea dragon stays far away while we're working. Right then, we'll head out as soon as everything is ready. All right, buddy. Now last I checked, yeah. Yeah, if I wanted to go Ravager Blade Plus, I would need Gracium, which I really don't think I can get right now. You can't fool me. I know you've decided to tackle the Cadius yourself. You do know that the guild can revoke your license if you go against orders. You won't be able to go to hunting grounds or use base camps or get info or monster locations or fix your weapons. And the money, there goes your income. Heck, there goes your transportation too. And yet, you still want to do it. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course you do. You need to know, though, the guild's decision is based on solid intel. They're not just overreacting. They've seen the dragon, and they know what it can do. And just like they said, the Cadius is way too much for one hunter to take on in a fair fight. If you want to drive it off, you'll need the help of the entire village. So, the first step is to gather the chief and the villagers and get everybody on the same page. If they're all like, no way, let's blow this popsicle stand, then you have to promise to go along with it. Understood? Yep. Great, I'm holding you to that. For now, you should keep hunting as usual. We need the guild to think the situation isn't as bad as it looks. Follow? It's not lying, exactly, it's just perpetrating the misunderstanding. I'm an honest woman, you know. Yes, that is the voice of a woman. Very slow, deep, and ominous. Okay. So we have another Rathlos hunting quest, but it's just in a different place. We have a hunt of a Aragon, and we have a hunt of an Agnactor. Okay, well, I feel like it's pushing me to make the Aragon weapon because I could go this direction, hunt it, and get that stuff. But since we have to hunt another Rathlos, that's about the time we have left, so let's just hunt a Rathlos. Kinda works out. And then if I end up deciding that I want to make the armor anyways, because there's more quests in between here and Cadius than I thought, or recalled, that's set up already, so win-win. Okay. It's nice this is a relatively easy session here. No big concerns, just plugging through stuff that's good to take care of. Oh, I have too much monster crap on me, but whatever. Yeah, I would have rather not have that, but whatever. I forgot to drop it off. It's okay. I'll just have to use all of my things. Cause yeah, I have a lot to take care of today. And then I kind of had a brainwash wipe day the other day because I had plumbers that were coming through my place. And they had to do some maintenance in the building, and that's totally fine. So we get everything, you know, set up to do it. And we had actually cleaned and prepared the house a little bit for people coming through, and, you know, got everything out of the kitchen and sink, thinking, you know, okay, if something does go wrong, if things flow up a little bit, at least this way a bunch of dishes won't be sitting there and get really gross or something, right? That was the thinking. What ended up happening was, I guess they were doing like a very specific type of line maintenance that involves basically running a whole whack of hot water through the lines and purging anything that's stuck to the lining. But the downside was that if the lining has gone all the way to the middle and just kind of become a big solid, that becomes a big plug. And very much like a bullet working its way down a rifle, it picks up speed and velocity, and unfortunately accuracy as well, because it went all over the cabinets and the floor, and lots of fun things. Now, credit to the plumbers who, you know, had that happen to them. It wasn't like they wanted that to happen, and they did clean it. But it took like 4 rounds of degreaser to get the pitch black junk that was shot up out of the sink off of everything. And there's still a sense that, you know, maybe there's some permanent damage done. Like, there's some things that, well, actually, it's just not true to say there maybe was some permanent damage done. There was, because there's a bunch of stuff that we had that got covered that was just kind of like, well, let's just throw it out. There's no point keeping that. You know, it's like tearing a huge hole in a pair of pants. It's like, you can fix it, but it'll never be the same. Better just get a new pair of pants. And that's very much the situation there. Although it was funny, there's a point where the plumbers were mentioning that we were the calmest they've ever seen anyone in situations. Like, I even heard them say verbatim, you know, I've seen people get way more upset over way less. And, you know, there wasn't really any point in being upset, but maybe it's just a point of having had so much worse things happen that, you know, even if it's a mess, even if it's gross, even if it smells like, you know, rotten buttholes got gurgled up through my sink, you know, at least nobody died, you know, at least there was no fire. There's always, you know, so many worse things that could have happened. Like, you know, it came out of the sink. Nonetheless, like, could have been the walls, it could have been the ceiling, it could have been a bathtub shower head, you know. There's so many worse places for putrid black liquid to come out of than a receptacle designed to handle liquid. At the end of the day, you know, it's all tubes. So that worked out. Could have been worse. If it came out of the walls, like, I don't even know if you need a plumber at that point. Like, do you need an exorcist as well? Do they have one on dial-up if the liquid is too black? Or it comes out of the wrong place, you know, like, they go and investigate a drip, and they're like, all right, we thought it was just one of your pipes, you know, underneath your bathroom, but it turns out there's a 1,200-year-old corpse in one of your walls, and we are all now in a hell dimension. So, you know, I don't know what the protocol plumbers have is. Although I have to admit, I have this weird trepidation when it comes to anything that's like a traditional trade. And I think it's because of the people I knew who at a time were very involved in trade work. And I met, you know, people who were electricians and plumbers and did sprinkler systems, installed windows, and did drywall, and did roofs, and did all these different things. People who have been on big sites and big buildings and small sites and commercial, residential, blah, blah, blah. I've talked to all these different folks. And something that is kind of like a unifying standard across all of the people that I happen to speak to is a blatant disregard for safety of any kind, and sometimes like a focus on making work and getting as many hours out of something as you can, and maybe not like working to the best of your ability because you're not in the system or whatever it is, you're not as incentivized, even by what are typically quite large wages in the trade world. So because I'm aware of some of those things existing, I would say it can be difficult for me to be like, oh yes, come into my house, trade people, and work your magic. Because yes, like, are there some folks who are absolutely like on top of it and doing fantastic work and not just trying to get as many hours of a wage as they can out of a job? Totally, absolutely. But I think there's also a lot of folks who are aware that like their jobs are contract based, and as soon as a contract is done, unless there's another one lined up, where's the money going to come from? And like a taxi driver who thinks he can take you a few extra blocks and make a little bit out of it, it's easy to understand why folks do it, even if it's not the most moral thing. But I mean, there's so many stories of, I hired this person and they didn't do the job, or they didn't do it right, or they took twice as long as I thought they were going to, and it still only was okay. And it's a difficult industry as well. And I think, as rude as this is, I don't mean this in a mean way, but it's just the observation that I've had. I haven't known a lot of people who have ever gone, I want to work in trades as my first pick. I know actually 3 or 4 cases right off the top of my head that I'm thinking of, where people tried a different career or education path first that didn't work out for them, or maybe it didn't meet some goals that they had, and then they tried to move into trades as a result of just going, screw chasing this passion or this interest, I just want to make a lot of money. And that's fine, but it doesn't really seem like I don't know, something that a lot of folks were like, this is really what I want to be doing. And there's nothing wrong with needing to make money, needing to live a life. We all do it. But I just think back to my own experiences where I was in positions like that, and I probably didn't do my best work, right? And there, of course, is the concern that if somebody else is in that position, are they just going to do what they need to do to get the job done and make what they need to make? And if someone's responsible for the electricity in your house or your toilet working, that can be a kind of scary possibility. And yeah, see, me myself, I've definitely gotten to a point in my life where I don't think I want to go back to doing labor for a living. I've definitely done these types of things. I've worked in a warehouse, even. I've done kitchen work for many years. So I've been wet and sweaty and hot and tired and up at 4 a.m. and I've done all these horrible things, and I'm kind of at a point in my life where I personally have made peace with the fact that I'm done with it, and I wouldn't accept those things unless it was of dire importance. But I'm also I guess what you would call very aware of my wealth class, so I feel guilty making that statement, because I don't think working in a service position like I have many times before is a detriment. I don't think it makes someone stupid. I don't even think it's easy work. Heck, you know, by every metric, the job that I have now, which is more prestigious and better paid, and you know, it sounds better to have, is way easier than any of the service positions I've ever worked. Like my first job in a kitchen when I was 13 is harder now than the fancy corporate job that I have. Absolutely, no doubts. I was working harder when I was 13, waking up at 5 a.m. to get there at 6 a.m., working in front of a hot dish pit, and then cutting things and chopping things and picking up 40, 50-pound boxes back to back to back to back and moving them all out and taking 20 minutes outside in a back alley to sit on a milk crate before going back to do it again. You know, like, that was way harder than I'm at a place now. So I would never want to make the imposition that that's easy work or it's unskilled work or anything like that. But conversely, I am done with doing it. So it's a weird place to be, especially like being somewhat young. Like at 23, which was a little bit ago now, at 23 I had already worked for like 10 years. And most of that, all of that, was in service, kitchens, and then added on to volunteer work in a variety of different circumstances. So even though like I'm young, I feel like I've done so much of that stuff already that I have old man exhaustion from it. And that being said, you know, continuing to work now, not too many years off of working for 20 years. It's a different feeling, for sure. I mean, there is something to be said for any position done on a long-term scale is just inherently exhausting. So, you know, it doesn't matter what you do. And, you know, you can do anything for 10 years, you're probably going to be a point of like, well, this sucks. So who knows? But I think as well, like, I'm so new to, even now I've been doing it for 5+ years. I'm so new to, like, white-collar work. It still feels brand new to me. Like, it feels like a new computer or a new car. Like, every time I look at it, I'm just like, oh my god, is this mine? Oh, wow. These windows are, like, actually really nice. They're not plastic. Are you sure it's okay if I touch this? Like, I still very much feel like that. For better or worse. And as a result, it would be interesting to try different things. See what else is out there in the space. If, you know, I had to change positions. But I'm actually quite satisfied with what I'm doing for once in my life, which is nice. But even if I had to move or change, I didn't carve the tail, and I don't know where it is. I didn't even know I broke it. I forgot I did. If I did, here, whatever. It happens. What did we get? Webbing, shell, scale. No plates for me. Very sad. All right, well, I think that's that. Ugh. I'm gonna get a gross hiccup attack right before, but I'm not gonna cut it out because I feel like authenticity is important. Sweet. All right, well, a few hunts there, progress made towards Cadius, and more will be done. I imagine I might just finish off what quests remain when next time around, prepare, potentially give it a go in our current armor, although that may be a plan slated to fail. Either way, we'll see what happens then. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Let's